much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard to confidently take an early fight, as we have Rax and the Costa Rican Sebi in a battle over here.
Ooh, and Rax on the back foot already. Now, this is that weather station just above Caddy. A Sebi going in. The shots are going to go through. He's going to get the initial damage, and he's going to follow up with the AR. The crouch spam, and it's going to pay off for him. The elimination comes through, but now the question posed for Sebi is, can he go get its loot? Can he go get the shockwave launcher and that charged shotgun, or will he settle for some of the vault loot?
And generally, that's the goal. It's to go through, get whatever you can from the weather station, resolve a fight there, and then head down and hopefully pick up the remnants of whatever happened at Caddy Corner. But now we're going to swing on over to Authority, where we have Letwick. We're in match number 1. He was able to steal away that mythic glider grapple gun and just kind of rotate out. But now, match number 2, you can see Hardfind over on the side, and Hardfind looking to set up a trap and a bait, and we've seen this before a number of times, particularly around that vault area where there are some areas you can't build. Players look to have just an immediate drop, but Letwick is set up really well in terms of his close quarters combat, just having that epic SMG as well as the tactical shotgun and a legendary pistol means he has 3 really high rate of fire weapons that give him plenty of abilities to just spam and pressure Hardfind, who's going to be looking for an ambush here in a second. But right now, both players just farming up.
And it seems like they're respecting each other's areas of this Authority. They kind of know, hey, he's going to be over here. I can tell by how he's looted. I know Letwick's going to be in this side because I know how he looted from Hardfind's perspective. But what's concerning about this is the players that are around. Carrot is there as well. You got 2 other players on the side. But Letwick is playing this very well. He's hitting some things, and then he's standing still. Because that's how the henchmen act. They walk around. Sometimes they'll hit stuff that's in their way, and then they'll stand still as you see one moving there. On the other side, we've got Wolfies, who's in a fight against some Marauders. Hopefully he's able to get out of those. The Marauders are very, very potent. They shoot you. They throw stakes at you, and they just will try to eliminate you at all costs. And they've got very, very good aim, especially with that hunting rifle there in the inventory of the Deadeye Marauder. Wolfies is pretty low, but he's got Ardent pretty low as well, 150 HP. Now the Marauders are coming in here. The third party this fight. Sometimes the third party does not always have to be an actual player. It can be the AI. And this is really good for Wolfies. He's allowing the Marauders to go after this player and go after him for him and get the initial damage. But if he goes in, he's got to be careful. He can't look to go in right away with all these Marauders around. If he doesn't do any damage to him, they're going to be very, very, very hard to build through and walk through. As you see, the builds are going to get broken. This is bad for Wolfies. He needs to get rid of the Marauders. The shots are coming in down to 11 HP. He's only got 2 builds remaining. Launchpad placed. He can't build anymore. Got a player right there in front of him. Sniper shot going to come out, and it does. But he goes down to a Marauder.
Vato getting picked off there, but the Marauders catching Wolfies out. No builds, no natural cover nearby. Ardent soaking most of the aggression. Him opting to go down. Ardent will clean up all of that. So good heads-up plays by Wolfies to pick up the snipe, but the Marauders ultimately enacting their revenge there. And it can be so difficult when you get caught out by them, particularly in the open. The builds that will target those and will try and take them out. You're definitely able to kind of ditch them and get rid of aggro when you're around some of the more natural cover on the map, those houses, the bridges, and the stuff that are nearby. But Vato not going to be happy about that, was trying to get a little bit of a third-party tag there, and Wolfie's punishing him right before he goes down. He says, hey, if I'm going down, you're coming down with me, and will also deny a key elimination point that could have gone over to Ardent. So ultimately, he's going to be upset his game is over, but at least he was able to pick up a little bit. Is now back on board here with Flois, and as we can see, he's used to fast starts, placing first with 5 elims in game 1 of Heats as well. So let's see if he can turn this confidence into something more, as he is over on the northeast side of the zone with plenty of players around him. However, he has priority on the rotation, but not a ton of materials to really do it. You don't want to be forced to burn those metal and the brick here. We refer to those as the hard materials, because once they get built up, they provide that much more defense for you. However, just they're so much harder to get naturally as you move through the map that Flo is finding Cammy there, and you can see immediately he's going to head over there because he's like, hey, I need those mats. I need those refreshers. When we talk about refresher in the term, this is it, because that's going to be refreshing for him.
What a shot and a heads-up play by Flois. He desperately needed that, as well as his ammo was pretty low, too. Only 74 AR. That's not enough going into an end-game competitive Fortnite game. You definitely want to have a little bit more like Noah Riley here. Again, takes off Mr. Savage and now has the loot to show for it. The yacht coming in clutch with this loot. He's got this player down, though, with those tags, but the big shield going to be popped there. Now Noah has to be careful. He wants to go aggressive. His instinct is to push in with that crash pad and get the aggressive play, but that player back up to full HP. He's got to be careful. Shots go through the edit. Not going to connect on the shots there. Noah over the top. Shots come through. A 71 tag there for Noah, and now he's going in. Crash pad in. It doesn't matter, though. The crash pad is actually going to send him away. He's got to keep the pressure up to keep this player from popping any shields, and he's got the player back and forth, up and down, up and down. He's got the crash pad. He's going in. Shots are going to come through. The player puts the stare over the top of his head, and another good tag there. But Noah's not able to find him. Noah's not able to finish him off. This player continuously layer changing, going up and down in between the builds, and Hydro is just trying to run for their life.
Hydro trying to put as much distance as possible, and unfortunately going to go down there. Good job for Noah Riley on the chase. We talk about how important it is to resolve fights, particularly because you don't want that opponent burning those resources, because when you do take them down, they'll drop them there, and you want to get as much as possible. You can see Noah picking up all of the minis there. He's back up to 6. Good job, still has 4 crash pads. And one thing you'll note in particular when you're looking at these mid-game fights and what you should be keeping an eye on. Anytime a player has crash pads, that will enable them to push into boxes. You've seen it in 2 different ways, both from the top down, where they throw it against one of those cones because it lets them fall in. And then a perfect example, thank you, Ross Orange, for showing it right there, winning the fight against Hardfind very closely with 6 HP. That's the horizontal crash pad, where you line yourself up on the corner of the walls, you throw it against that corner, and it'll end up landing right behind you, and it pushes you forward into the box, but it won't affect the other player. So it allows you to line up your shot ahead of time, and most times it'll also put you behind them, so they're not able to play defensively, as Orange trying to play defensively here, but Bafo just comes in and says, hey, you didn't have enough time to reset and get your shields up. I will take all that loot. Thank you very much.
And that's the dangers of taking a mid-game fight, is that if you take any damage, you're going to get third-party. Players are going to recognize that shield crack sound, and they're going to move in. But on the other hand, look at Letwick. He took that fight, got out, and now is on the move. But Carrot is setting up an ambush for the shots coming through. Letwick has been cracked. Look at the box separation that he just did there from Carrot. Get a time to pass him, and he's the stare over the top is not his. He does get a nice layer change coming out and above, but he doesn't have enough time to pop the big shield. He's just looking to try to pop another mini, and he does get it off. And now he's looking for a shot. He needs to put the pressure back onto Carrot, because if not, then he's just going to keep running around, and Carrot's finally going to be able to get a shot on him. And Carrot decides, you know what? Not worth my time, not worth my materials, not worth my HP. I'm going to disengage.
I'm 50-50 on that. It felt like if Carrot had kind of kept pressing, he might have been able to pick up Letwick, particularly because, look at Letwick, there are only 20 total builds coming out, but that also means if you are able to take him down, you're not going to necessarily get that much back. You'd only get the 35 total, and it's really not going to be that beneficial unless you're able to rotate cleanly off of it. Both have the crash pads, but now you can see fight going on here between Diablo and NXS Z-Andy. Z-Andy on the back foot here, and Diablo trying to push forward somebody we've seen had the capability of playing aggressively. He is above that Storm Surge threshold, so just trying to hunt this player and doing a good job of keeping Z-Andy on the back foot. Does get the cone replaced, owns both, edits back under. Z-Andy able to replace that stay there, so Diablo just going to reset for a second, make sure he's still back up at near that 100-100 threshold, and then Z-Andy going to go down. So good job making sure he picked that one up. Z-Andy was below that Storm Surge threshold. Diablo will see that coming through. The Storm Surge will take that over. So that's what we talk about right now. You can see on the right-hand side, Diablo is currently 130 damage above. Z-Andy was below, which means he takes that 25 damage every 10 seconds. And it also signals to Diablo, hey, I can just tag this guy up and then wait, because any damage he does to that player, as long as they go down within a minute, he will still get credit for that elimination. He will still get the point. Then he can go over and safely pick up that loot.
That is another aspect of competitive Fortnite that everyone has to think about. That Storm Surge, it plays a factor into so many of these players' games. Sometimes they forget about it because they're pumping, they're rolling, they got their mats, they got their ammo, they got their builds, they're in zone, and then they're like, wait, I didn't tag anybody this game. I got to look for tags. Frenzy Fishy on the other side above, and a good amount above. If you're about 100 to 150 above, you're looking at a good spot. As shots come through, he's going to take advantage and find swaps with one AR shot. That is what you needed. We saw Thomas H. do that in the first game. Just find any sort of elimination that you can, far away or up close. Don't even have to risk yourself getting tagged up for it. Beautiful elimination.
Yeah, but you notice how he's doing that behind a cone and editing a single wall. That's to avoid all of those hunting rifle headshots that we've seen come out time and time again. You don't want to get a game ender looking for some of those tags to make sure you're safe. But that being said, when we talk about tags and going through, that's generally meaning you're looking for long-range shots, not with the intention of actually trying to eliminate the opponent, but just doing some damage so you're not threatened by the Storm Surge, as Flois ends Froggy and puts a prime example of why you need a cone in a window and to limit the number of angles you have, because so many of these top-level players will be carrying those weapons, particularly in EU, that is known for their snipes and hitting their shots. Well done from the game number 1 winner, who's continuing to roll with the momentum here. Boxed up next to Arctic, passive over the side, as we're transitioning now into that mid-game kind of territory as players are starting to get closer and looking for priority in terms of zone number 4.
What an elimination. He needed it too. He only had 2 hunting rifle shots. That first shot needed to hit. He didn't really have a chance to follow up if it didn't. Very heads-up play by Flois. First place, taking down second place. That is, hey, that's pretty good for your mentality. Even if he goes down here and be like, hey, I took out my competition, so I know I'm pretty secure there. But we're still pretty early on into the games, so you can't really do much with it.
And it's important to note when they stress during the top of show how every single interaction matters. Right there, Flois eliminating his direct competition right now, the player who is closest to him, who's able to pressure up. That means if he's able to build up a lead now, it's going to be that much more substantial, because effectively he's eliminated one of the players who can threaten him the most, as now we're on board here with ADN. We saw him have an amazing run yesterday, pushing in. Right there, you can see the Dorito edit being taken down, and that's such a good push. Fastroki was looking to set up a crash pad there with that edited cone in his box, but ADN dropped in and then occupied the space, stuck to the AR, and then just used the weapon to close it out. Well done getting a key pick there in a mid-circle.
And he desperately needed his match. Were not looking good. Still are not looking good as well. So he's going to have to find another impact elimination along the way, as we're on board here with Ardent. Again, mats are not looking good. Now, there is a player's loot there in front of him that he more likely got the elim from. He's not actually prioritizing picking it up right now. It seems like he's just looking to build and then go for the loot. Mr. X is nearby. Benji's nearby as well. Artist in an awkward spot. We've got Scram in this game here as well. Handy, passive, slick. A lot of players still alive. 61. When we talk about Storm Surge, this is a threshold where it's 50. 11 players need to go down. Darda makes a heads-up play to get a box, and Crash Pad's going to come through, but that's bad for him. Unless he hits the shots come through, and he does. Maestro going to go down the aggressive play, not going to be rewarded. And Ardent will be rewarded for his passiveness.
Yeah, and you can see the reason why so many players are fighting right now, both that Storm Surge and trying to get priority. We talk about fourth zone. Look in the bottom right-hand corner. Everyone is looking to box up and stake their claim on as much real estate as possible for when that half-in, half-out reveals. You don't want to be sharing a spot next to somebody as you go to rotate, and they're looking to clear out the players nearby as Ardent picks up Flois there. So 1 and 2 are down. That's going to open up the leaderboard. Tons of players will have an opportunity to charge up. Eyes are now on Hen and whether or not he can kind of extend his lead out there, as Ardent also picks up Lecce. Mongrel getting scout there in a brilliant job, because he's now cleared out all the players on this tarp. In that next, the half in, half out, the one before moving, is pulling directly over to this cluster of players. So Tayson, Benji, Keelix, Wyzip, Mr. X will all be over there sharing the half in, half out with Ardent. They all have priority on everyone else who's rotating into the zone. So they're going to be fighting among themselves to make sure they're safe and not going to get ambushed, and then swap over to what Tayson's doing now and looking to catch the players, burning their rotation, burning launch pads and crash pads, trying to get into this zone.
And this is very lucky for Tayson, because, again, we stressed the amount of builds in the inventory. He only had 54. That is not where you want to be for this endgame. So he has to find an elimination to get to these moving zones effectively. He does have the 6 crash pads, but when you start to use those crash pads, you start wasting those builds as you box up, and he needs to find somebody. As shots come through, he's not going to be able to beam people out of the air just yet, as we do see Nebby unfortunately falling, but he did get that top 50 placement threshold, which is what a lot of people are playing, that consistency. Hey, at least I went down inside of that. Tayson, however, is looking to get aggressive, and I believe that's on, I think this is Benji. I'm 97% sure Benji is right nearby. If Benji makes the wrong edit, he goes into a box that's not his. Tayson is going to go aggressive. He's going to make sure there's going to be popped. Edit's going to come through. No crash pad in. Shots coming through. And Benji's going to go down. Tayson going to take him down.
You called it. He was looking for it, waiting for Benji. He heard him trying to set up and get some space, knew he was pressured around the side. The horizontal crash pad entrance puts him behind Benji, cleans it up with the tactical shotgun, and well done. And Hen, the third place player on the leaderboard before the last game, going on the high ground right now, has priority position with Enos and Mongrel just below him. Also Floki on the same ground, but we're going to hop on over to the Become Legends player. He's been playing so well recently, cleaning up the Cash Cup on his birthday. Had a phenomenal performance yesterday to also guarantee him spot here, and he has priority on this next zone. What that means is he's the closest to where the safe zone has to go past. So as it funnels and everyone else rotates, they have to go past Hen. You do not get to past Hen, and you notice he's built so much space around him, so he can't be shot at in return. All of these shots are completely safe, so anything he's able to convert on will turn into points for him here, as another placement point does take over. Now he's not shooting through that wall. That is just one of the graphical issues with the replay. He's picking up tags, but now you can see setting up a crash pad, going to use it to go on the rotation late. And he picked up a key elimination onto Wyzip there, as we have our top 35.
And it's such a key elimination because he gets Jules' glider gun, and now he's got free rotation everywhere. He could win this game based off that elimination. It was such an impact elimination, but he's being a little bit too greedy on that zone. He did get tagged up, but he's still good. Rotation coming in. We do see Sapphic going down, and rotation X Squeeze went down as well. So a lot of the big names are out of this game, but Han looking to keep his stream alive and take down one player who landed right on top of him. That was a very, very heads-up elimination onto Pablo, but he's not that healthy. He has those minis in his inventory, about 126 in his inventory, about 126 effective HP. He needs to find another one.
He needs to find the outside. He can't be in this cluster. It's really weird to take the grapple gun and then immediately go into the middle, because you don't really have the ability to utilize it, and that's what we're looking for, getting towards the outside of the zone so he has more options there. Anas, teammate up on the high ground there, but this is the solos competition, just playing for the same org. You have Gamers Origin, Deceptos there on the middle as we tick over top 25. Another point going through. Anas running through the high ground. Reason still in the match, and you can see Deceptos picks up Ardit there as top 20 ticks over. Another point going through, and right as I say his name, Reason ends up going down. This is looking like a Become Legends top 15 right now, as they have 3 or 4 players still up, but Deceptos trying to find the space, finding a good job, tarping his way through and making sure that he owns all of the builds on this level as we close in on top 15. Bad sniper missing out on a key placement point, and Deceptos looking to try and find a pick on this Crash Pad player, doing a good job to deny the rotation, finds a tag, but not able to necessarily convert it. So many shots, but no elimination coming through, and he has to find that. That's such a key pickup. Inside the top 15 we go. Can he chase down this player? And he finally gets it. That snipe going down, but Hen is still up, picking up Orion as we get into our top 10.
Deceptos is going to have to make a play as it's going up a little bit of an incline. You see it. The old builds are there as well. Han is going to fall. Slick going to fall in tandem. Top 10 placement points being missed out by both of them. That's a huge boost as well. Deceptos able to hold on. There's a player on the other side. Shots are coming through. He's getting the tags, and he does. Frenzy Fishy is going to go down. Deceptos needs to get out of zone, though. He is sitting and ticking. He doesn't have any floppers. He's looking to get in, and he does, but a shot comes through. Floki going to be the one to take him down, and now 2 eliminations here for Floki. The player right on top of him. He's got to be careful. Shots go through. Back into zone goes Floki. Ticking down very, very low. Now inside his zone. He's good to go, but this is looking really, really rough. He doesn't have floppers. Mr. X is going to go down. Stacy going to be the one to do it. He's still trying to be popped there. And look at Anas just Tyro whopping all the way up top. He's just walking over old builds. I don't know how many builds he's got left, but he may be able to win this just solely based on the fact that it's going over old builds.
And the old builds giving him priority. That moving zone, we talked about it. It just randomly pulls a distance back away, which means you can continue your rotation. And on top of having the old builds, his saving grace has the mythic loadout as well. So this is so big for him as we move into the top 5. 4 players left, but Anas has complete control over this lobby. You can see Tayson as well in the middle. Scramguard and Snazy are going to round out your top 4. Who will finish it off? Will Anas continue the run of the caddy corner loot, proving it out, or can somebody from the low ground shut him down as Tayson picks up Scram Guard. So each elimination, each placement here, an additional point as Tayson ends Snazy right there. But the Shockwave Launcher comes out right away and knocks him over to the zone. And Nos does get tagged, but he's able to pop the flop in the zone and then gets the follow-up tag with 6 HP to spare. Become Legends of Nos from the high ground. 4 eliminations in the Victory Royale, taking game number 2.
The flop was what he needed to pop, and he did do just that. The Victory Royale going to be nice. I think maybe able to move into first place after that game just on the number of points and the eliminations, but we're definitely going to need the analysts to break that one down, so we're going to send it right over to them here in a moment.
Thank you guys so much. Great cast here in game number 2 of Europe. Anas finding the Victory Royale there. Mad props to him. Now, here's the thing, though. Tayson, another big name we're used to seeing. We keep talking about the quality of players. This is someone who is coming in strong. Ends that game in 5 eliminations. Had he picked up that VR, that 4-point swing would have actually moved him higher up the leaderboard. And we'll see that as we take a look at the standings and look at who is currently holding down that number 1 spot.
Usually who ends up winning the game is always at first. That is the same story here right now. BL and Nos all the way up top. Victory Royale, 7 elims, 28 points. But what happened that game was a bunch of eliminations from top players, changing the standings from 2nd all the way to 10th.
And there's BL hand in 2nd there. Somebody definitely to keep an eye on because he placed 4th in the first game. Not necessarily the biggest boost in points this game. Other names too, Deciptos, who's the king of placing 5th place. The French legend who came out there in the Invitational starting to rise up. But then Tayson, Zeke, you mentioned him. Getting that 2nd place will boost him way up, but he could have done more. Reason still stays around the 9th place mark, but still improves at least in this game.
And there, we move on over. Letwig, Scramguard, Bad Sniper, Kinzel, Mongrel, Carrot. I mean, look at all these names. Thomas HD, Floki, Frenzy Fishy. There's so much heat coming off of the grand finals right now. Every single person could walk away the victor, and especially when we're this tight, and we still have 4 games left to go, boys. Anything could still happen. There's all these guys at the top making these power moves right now.
You're saying look at the names. I'm looking at the points, too. You're mentioning that it's tight. It's like a 2-point difference between everyone. They are neck and neck. Become Legend Slicks is here, too. Twain's, Ardits. Like, all these guys are playing so well, but they're playing well while others are, too. And no one can really break away. Benji, who we're used to seeing in the top 10, at 24th. And from what I'm seeing, he's having good games still. It's not enough, though, for that number 1 spot.
It's kind of another kind of slow start for Benji, which I think some people are maybe starting to get a little used to. He always rises at the top, but that might be a sign that it's back to, the old Benji of Grand Finals, the one who does get good performances and is in the top 10, top 15, very solid out of 100 players, but not quite that win that he's looking for.
And together, guys, we got to talk about it. More of these powerful plays coming out of these impact players, making what they need to happen, really manifesting this win right here, right now.
Yeah, Grand Finals is all about power, and it comes in many different forms. We're starting off with how power struggles on early games off-spawn fights, and Noah Riley, Mr. Savage, they had a big battle down. Noah showed that he was more powerful.
And it's all because Benji scares Noah into going somewhere else, but into somebody who might end up struggling because of it. Benji, though, saw a sign of weakness, and because of that, he will pounce, try to grab more space. Kiryachi looking in the background, and Benji knows, and he will hunt. This is one of the best players at fighting in the early and mid game, and Benji is not scared whatsoever.
Got power vacuum basically here over at Slurpy Swamp, and Benji gets in the box with style, breaks through, hits a big shot, and shows his power afterwards as well.
And is that show of power, is that show of confidence something that we're used to seeing out of Benji? I say yes, but it might be overconfidence as he pushes a fight against one of the best players in the world. Now we're switching over to Flois, and for him, it's a shift.
Yeah, for him, he was holding power in game number 1, continues to, dropping down Froggy, who was in 2nd place on the leaderboards at the time, but holding power sometimes comes with a cost. He loses it over to Advise, and we see one of our new players who are in that 2nd place slot.
Second place for Hen after a very good game number 1, and follows it up with a pretty decent game number 2, a 10th place for him, but a couple of elims to boot. And that will put him where he needs to be if he wants to grab that crown at the end of the day, the ultimate sign of power. He falls in 11th, but that's at least solid enough.
Yeah, and this is where power starts for a lot of players in this game. It was Anas who ends up winning, who had Caddy Corner and the Mythic Loot as well. The Shockwave Launcher, Hits Charge Shotgun too. And he just made power become his tool in this endgame. He became legend incarnate, literally just personifying the organization he's on and using this entire endgame as a playground, bouncing people up, shooting them down afterwards. Look at that two-piece right there. Anas looks so dynamic, and yes, we saw Flois with the hunting rifle. We saw him with the charge shotgun last time, but for me, it was Anas's gameplay, his creativity that really separated him from the pack and showed us his use of power.
And Anas, that's kind of what we were talking about at Caddy Corner last time. We saw Thomas there for a brief moment, but this time it goes down. Kit spawns down at the gas station, and that's where Anas is lurking. He had a good game last time in 10th place, but if you want to become a legend at the end of the day, if you want to solidify yourselves among the great, immortalize yourself, you need to have games like that. And Anas and Hen, both at the top of the leaderboards, org mates, and they're standing